All right, it's 10 to 8. Here's what's happening on the back pages this morning. We're going to start with the Irish Independent first up here, and it's Martin O'Neill admits striker gamble. This is dominates a lot of the papers today, and the fact that O'Neill has named his squad for the upcoming friendlies, and really our lack of somebody who's going to bang in Robbie Keane style goals is the pretty evident thing from that. Last year's medal means nothing, says a very interesting Michael Dara Macaulay, which again a piece that features in a lot of the papers today as well, and he's been in to chat to OTBAM, so we're going to bring you some of that too before we leave you a little bit later. And Larmer's set to get wing berth for final with McGrath still a risk, so Luke McGrath still a bit of an injury doubt for Leinster, although he'd probably start, and all of which means that Jordan Larmer is going to probably get the nod on the wing. So that those teams I think are named around midday or thereabouts. Alan Quinn is going to talk to us about that and it's rugby too on the front page of the sports section of the Irish Times this morning. You want to get that respect, you want to be able to stand over something from your time, is the quote here from Tyg Furlong in conversation with Jerry Thornley ahead of that big game this weekend. More pre-game analysis from Liam Toland there, and Danny Cipriani brought back into the England setup by Eddie Jones, who's had some very interesting stuff to say about his recalled player, including that if his character is not right, he's going to be back on the plane on their return flight from South Africa. So that is Eddie Jones there. The Irish Examiner this morning, needless to say, it's rugby all the way here. Racing 92. We built things in little blocks. Says Ronan O'Gara in the meeting room, dressing room, and on the team bus. So always interesting stuff from Ronan O'Gara there. He talks about Kenny, his time. He's left Racing Metro now to go to the Canterbury Crusaders and has taken up a coaching role there, but talks about the culture that when he arrived at Racing Metro, there were French rugby culture is generally known for its sort of left field way of doing things, and they were drinking full fat cans of Coke, big tubs of butter, sort of 20 yards batch loaves, I'd say, a French batch 20 yards up the road from KFC, and the lads by all accounts were filling their boots, and a big part of his job was to, as he says, confiscate the goodies and sort of,
I suppose more of an educational thing, I suppose, rather than kind of literally hiding the goodies. That takes time. That surprised me a little bit, actually, to be honest with you. I would have thought it'd be the opposite somewhat in terms of how the French operated. Yeah.
Bernard Jackman tells a story about he was coaching over there at Grenoble up to last year, about 18 months ago, and biggest challenge he said he had was to try and get the players not to have a second dessert a day. That one is enough, lads. So that's the...
What I find incredible about this is that both of them coached this decade. It's not like this is the good old days of the 1990s when, like the pre-Arsene Wenger days, say the George Graham era at Arsenal, which you'd hear similar stories to. This is this decade. It's incredible how far behind French club rugby was.
You're right, because back in the day, of course, it was ignorance, really. It was a lack of education. I would have some sympathy for the players of a generation or so ago. But like you say, of the last kind of 10 years, that information is out there. It's being preached. It's generally accepted in terms of the do's and don'ts. In terms of your lifestyle and how you treat your body, etc. So, that is surprising.
The worry would almost be nearly that if French rugby ever got its shit together, that
what is Ronan O'Gara doing?
The rest of us will be kind of screwed. Right, the Times Ireland edition here. Scoring is a big problem, says O'Neill. So again, this is reflections on, it's John Walters and Shane Long are sort of recognised strikers. And the fact that he's named his squad there. Noble and Pogba face off. This was the most interesting thing about that 0-0 draw last night. Mark Noble, all of about 4'2", and Paul Pogba, all of about 8'7", getting a bit of grill time. It was
a bad picture. They like a nasal cleaner, so he was giving him there.
He was giving him. I'm a bit surprised if there was a bit of sort of retrospective action there, because he had his fingers in areas that
he should have got sent off.
I'm
surprised he didn't. But what was hilarious was the way they made up after the game, and then Mark Noble was in the media centre afterwards, kind of laughing it off, and he was saying, "Paul Pogba, he's one of the world's best players. He deserves a bit more respect." And somebody's like, well, "You do realise what happened on the pitch today?" And he's like, "Oh, you know what I mean."
Not really, Mark.
That
actually,
classic get out jail card. Yeah.
There's another story in that paper there today, an exclusive by Matt Dickinson, saying that Premier League referees may take the lead from American football by making live announcements to the crowds to explain VAR decisions as the game seeks to improve how it communicates with spectators.
Oh God, no. Oh no, don't get me started.
Not having
the VAR. I think it was a great decision they've made not introducing the VAR next year. They're taking a big step back.
Really?
The Premier League, absolutely.
Why?
The World Cup in this summer in particular, I think it'll be an education. I think it's going to go belly up.
Why do you think that?
I've never been in favour of it. People say, that's it now, we can't go back. I'd go back in an instant, in a heartbeat. I'd go back
really?
to the way. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Why?
No, I just think it's a slippery slope. I just
to where? What's at the bottom of the slippery slope?
The game will change into a game that we just don't know in terms of the amount of stops, starts, the inconsistencies.
Doesn't it ultimately get so like a big sort of VRs has had its issues, and I think that actually hasn't helped things at all.
We haven't even seen it. It's not even the tip of the iceberg again in terms of the issues that we're going to face.
So, but actually, probably what will happen is that most of those issues will actually start to iron out a small bit, and it should get better. Would be the idea.
No, but people start demanding more of it. At the moment, it's kind of goal scoring,
here's a question,
opportunity, sending off.
If it was working properly, like it should work, would you be in?
That's my point. I don't ever see it work properly. What people in their heads perceive to be working properly.
If it was to work properly, would you be pro having VAR?
No, because I can't see that eventually ever arising.
If like some
people's perceptions, referees' perceptions of what they perceive to be a foul, what they don't,
that's always going to exist.
Well, absolutely.
But the stuff that's clear cut, if it could eradicate.
What is clear cut? What is clear? Some people looking in and say that's clear cut. It's a red card. Somebody else will look and say that's never been a red card. That's a yellow card.
So some of it will definitely. There will be a percentage of those decisions that will definitely be will remain open to interpretation.
So what are we going to have to sacrifice to get there, Adrian?
There will be some of the replays that you look at that you'll go very clearly. That's either a penalty.
I agree. I agree.
So,
but what it's going to cost us now, because the game will fragment. The whole game will fragment. We've seen it already. You know, inside the stadiums, the stadium just goes flat, uncertainty amongst players, what's going on here. And people are talking now putting big video screens up. My God, talking about, that make things 10 times worse. As people be looking at, again, taking the same stance as referees. Some supporters be looking at thinking, hold on, that's not a free kick. Others be saying, that's outrageous, of course it's a penalty kick. That's only going to light the torch even more.
In a lot of sports like cricket and in rugby, when they go to the sort of similar scenarios, it's actually, they're some of the most dramatic moments of the game. Like, you've had some unbelievable drama.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen one amount of drama. It's been absolutely, it's been boring. The game has just gone absolutely flat. I'm not a fan of it at all. I can't see where it's going.
My theory on this whole VAR thing in the Premier League, because the Premier League seems to have been the only ones that have gone in a different direction to other clubs, to other leagues in Europe, and I disagree with the point that they're the ones who are forward thinking here. I actually think that the Premier League are just reluctant to take this sort of risk, and I think it's kind of symptomatic of the Premier League as a whole. If this was to happen, you would need to install big screens in Old Trafford, for example. And if you look at some of the quotes that the Chiefs at Manchester United have made with regards to a big screen at Old Trafford, they've said things like a big screen would besmirch the tradition of our football club and stuff like that. I mean, those sort of nonsense quotes that seems to prevail in English football, that is preventing English football from taking this lead.
That won't assuage the supporters putting a big screen.
But I just feel that's the mentality there.
There's going to be more argument. Like I said, it's going to fan the flames even more by throwing big contentious decisions up on a big screen. I'm not having it. I'm not having it at all. And this in terms of key decisions in a game, we're not going to step into key decisions. You talk to managers, what's a key decision? Well, that throw-in which we never got 45 seconds before the goal was scored, absolutely
So
key.
is your worry that actually that it becomes greater than, its influence becomes greater
it's absolutely
than
going to roll it out. At the moment it's like, well, it's a goal scoring opportunity, it's a red card, penalty kick, let's just limit that. No way, people are going to be pushing the envelope out over the next couple of years. Now, what about that free kick we should have been awarded at the other end of the pitch? That was a key moment. We would have got that, they never would have countered.
So what about those moments where a penalty is given, a key decision in a game, a penalty is wrongly given?
No problem. I'll suffer it.
Really?
I'll suffer it. The game hasn't suffered up till now because of it.
One of the things,
we kind of missed out in the World Cup because of it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. That's part and parcel. Human error is part and parcel of the game.
One of the things that people have sort of said in relation to not having VAR is that the talkability is gone, that you won't have those, people in the pub.
Not so much the talk.
Actually, the talkability I think it's become even greater. Like the conversation about.
No, but it's boring. It's absolute. I can't engage in conversation with someone now and getting to that stage of VAR. Just don't even want to talk to people, apart from you two this morning, obviously. But no, it's boring. It really is. The same old things are coming up.
To alleviate the boredom, one quick thing that strikes me just before we leave that West Ham United game was that just before the Noble incident, actually, Andy Carroll had been in a tangle with Pogba. I don't know if you'd seen that. So Carroll gets sort of reprimanded by the referee. He does the usual thing of sort of walking away before the referee even gets a chance to give him his instructions. Referee insists that he comes back. He gets sort of halfway back, not that interested. Gets to the referee, sort of bends down to pretend to his socks, showing absolutely zero respect to the referee, who's getting increasingly irate with this whole scenario, to the point where the referee just stands there and waits for him to get up and actually get some FaceTime with him. How long are we going to have to go here before the referee just says, listen, Right. Like we go,
I'm going to go the opposite now. Now I'm going to cut you down there. Why is the referee pulling him over?
Because I'll tell you why he's pulling him over.
He's going to pull him over to say, "No, Andy, come on, better, please, Andy, better." Is that it? Is it worth it?
Like,
show him the yellow card.
But ultimately, the referee is the one he's in charge of the game, so he gets to call it like it is, and there's no respect.
He's called it, and he's given him a free kick. And if he wants to give him the yellow card, give him the yellow card. Does it really matter if he's 2 yards away or if he's 20 yards away? This kind of charade. No, come.
No, because what Carl is doing, Carl is showing utter disrespect, right? He's like, nah, I'm sort of not that interested in talking to you. The referee, for me, has got to start booking players like that, and that's going to stamp it out. Like, you'll stamp that out within a season.
You're not going to stamp it out that quickly. That's kind of
But it's not healthy.
Ingrained a little bit.
It's not healthy.
No, it's not. Yeah, but it's all apparent. People accept that. It's a little bit different. Now there's the rugby analogy in terms of respect between the officials and the players, and that's a natural thing. Always has been. That never been the case with football. I'm not looking for a massive groundswell in terms of change there. Just keep it simple. Just yellow card them. This kind of nonsense of I've got to be seen to be I'm the referee. You've got to respect my authority. Get over here now. Now I said this.
Kenny, we're going to agree to disagree.
Grown up man, yeah, we are.
For the entire morning. A quick look at the Irish news this morning. It's the Cavan manager here will win the day, says Madlena there. And finally to the Racing Post. Back to the big time. This is just reflections here on the playoffs for this weekend.
Moving swiftly onto the Irish Daily Mail, the back page says, kicking back, Wexford and Dublin did not train abroad. That's Philip Lanigan's story here. Was Lee Chin and Ciarán Kilkenny doing some media yesterday. They've both been under question, the Wexford and Dublin camps, with regards to training camps. Dublin were in the Somme last week, and they've said that there was no training at all, really, to the trip. That's what Kilkenny said. So they did not have training relations with that war memorial, is what they're saying.
Are you having that?
Well, you know, we've got to take them at their word. I'm not going to say Lee Chin and Ciarán Kilkenny are telling us lies here because,
bending the truth there slightly.
I wasn't in their training camp, you know. If I went to the Battle of the Somme, I'm ready to tackle...
the actual Battle of the Somme.
Sorry, I was at the Somme, where a battle occurred 100 years ago. He
was never gone over the top, was he? Oh, let's be honest with you. Huddle down with that tin hat on. Don't worry about that.
Listen to his hip hop, Kenny. He's no interest.
I would have avoided conscription. I wouldn't have even been in the trenches, Kenny. The front page of the Herald Sports section says the final furlong, Rising Tig is lifting Leinster. Tig Furlong is across the back pages this morning ahead of the Champions Cup final tomorrow. It's Sam Ormead. This is an interesting story. The back page of the Mirror this morning. Rooney wants to stay at Everton if Allardyce is shown the exit door. So it seemed that Wayne Rooney had agreed a move to go to DC United in the United States. But it seems now that if Everton want to keep him, they need to get rid of Sam Allardyce. So they've really got an unenviable decision there to make between whether or not they keep Wayne Rooney or whether or not they keep Sam Allardyce. I've also got Michael Darragh-Macaulay there and that picture of Mark Noble and Paul Pogba once again. Also, and this is tab of the morning to you this morning, congratulations to the star. Big Sam or Uncle Sam. Rooney yet to agree, MLS move. Well, you've got Man of the Moment. That's a story which jockey Owen Mahon had a night to remember yesterday because he rode two winners, the first two winners of his career, which came to an incredible 1,733 to 1 double. 22-year-old jockey, an incredible first two winners for him, and if you were on that, well, congratulations. And Michael Darragh-Macaulay there again. You've also got Noble and Pogba again, as they are here in the back of the Sun. Snout of order, but Jose knows they're second. That's another good couple of puns there. While Euro Super League is coming, we might chat to Kenny a little bit about that later on in the show. Arsene Wenger convinced that a European-wide Super League is on the way. Raging Noble escapes red, says the front of the Daily Telegraph. And then finally on the back page of The Guardian this morning, it is that picture once again. Tempers flare before Mourinho seals second. And an interesting rugby story that doesn't involve the Champions Cup. It is the England squad. Warning shot. Step out of line and you will go home, Jones tells Cipriani. Danny Cipriani is back in the England squad, which I'm actually really looking forward to this tour this summer because I reckon, as the old adage goes, shit could hit the fan, and hopefully it does.
Not a guy that sort of succeeded all that well due to his character, we're led to believe, under the Martin Johnson and Stuart Lancaster reigns. But you would think that he's a perfect fit for somebody like Eddie Jones.
Or an absolutely nightmare fit for Eddie Jones. We just don't know. We don't know how those personalities are going to clash. But, and hopefully they clash in the most horrible way, and England rugby spirals out of control in the coming months.
Even more so.
Even more so.
And French rugby. And French rugby. Let's throw it in.
I've got popcorn in the microwave.
Ronan O'Gara's best efforts.